Here's something nobody wants to hear. You're not the victim of your life. You're the collaborator in destroying yourself. And I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me. Everyone talks about self-love, like it's about adding more bubble baths and affirmations to your life. But here's what they don't tell you. Real self-love isn't about adding anything. It's about stopping the daily ways you betray, abandon, and sacrifice the person you have to live with forever, yourself. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you 5 signs that you're quietly killing yourself from the inside out. And sign number 3, it's going to explain why you feel angry at everyone else, but can't figure out why. If you've ever felt like you're living someone else's life while watching yours slip away, this is for you. Sign number 1 is going to sting a little, but I need you to hear this. You're addicted to saving other people. And before you say, "But I'm just being helpful," let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat alone with yourself for 30 minutes without someone needing you, without a crisis to solve, without someone's drama to dive into? Can't remember? That's not coincidence. That's strategy. Here's what's really happening. Other people's messy lives have become your perfect escape route from your own empty one. Every time your phone buzzes with someone's emergency, you get a hit of purpose. Someone needs you. Someone thinks you matter. Someone thinks you have answers. But here's the brutal truth nobody talks about. You're not saving them because you're so generous. You're saving them because when you're focused on their drowning, you don't have to feel yourself going under. I know this because I used to be the friend everyone called at 2 a.m. I thought it meant I was special, needed, important. But really, I was just terrified of what would happen if I stopped being useful. Because underneath all that helping, there was this terrifying question. If I'm not fixing someone, if I'm not needed, if I'm not useful, then who am I? And that question, that's the one you've been running from. The one that would change everything, if you had the courage to sit with it. Sign number 2 is going to mess with your head, but it might also set you free. The things you hate most in other people, they're the parts of yourself you murdered to fit in. Think about that person who just gets under your skin. Maybe they're too loud, too confident, too selfish, too dramatic. You roll your eyes and think, God, why can't they just tone it down? But here's what your soul knows, that your mind won't admit. You don't hate them because they're wrong. You hate them because they're free. They're doing something you gave up doing a long time ago. They're being themselves without apology. That person who's too much? You used to be too much, until someone made you feel ashamed for taking up space. That person who's selfish? You used to put yourself first, until you learned that love was conditional on your sacrifice. That person who's fake? They're actually just trying different versions of themselves, while you stopped trying altogether. Your anger isn't really anger, it's grief. You're mourning the parts of yourself you killed to be accepted. Every time you judge someone for being too something, you're standing at the grave of who you used to be before you learned to be small. And the most heartbreaking part? You don't even remember what you sacrificed. You just know something's missing, and seeing others live freely reminds you of the amputation you can't quite name. Sign number 3 is going to call you out in the most loving way possible. You live in the land of almost. You're almost ready to start that business. Almost ready to have that conversation. Almost ready to make that change. Almost, but never actually. And you tell yourself beautiful stories about why. I need the perfect plan. I need more skills. I need to wait for the right time. But here's what you don't want to hear. Almost is where dreams go to die comfortably. Because here's the thing. Almost feels productive. It feels responsible. It feels safe. You get to tell yourself you're working towards something, while never having to risk actually failing at it. You get to be the person with potential, without ever having to find out if that potential is real. You've become addicted to the energy of maybe, someday, because it protects you from the terrifying possibility of, what if I try and I'm not good enough? So you stay in perpetual preparation, collecting courses, making plans, perfecting your strategy, while your life happens in the background. But here's what your soul knows. The person you're protecting by staying almost isn't the person you could become. It's the person you think you are right now. And that person is just scared of being seen, scared of being judged, scared of being real. Your dreams aren't waiting for you to be ready. They're waiting for you to be brave. Sign number 4 is going to expose something you've been hiding even from yourself. You've made chaos your home. Emergency mode isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create because the alternative feels like death. Think about it. When was the last time you had nothing urgent to handle? No crisis to manage, no deadline breathing down your neck, no drama demanding your immediate attention. And if you did have a moment like that, how long before you found something to worry about? Here's what nobody talks about. You're addicted to adrenaline because it's the only time you feel truly alive. That rush of urgency, that sense of being needed right now, that feeling of importance that comes with crisis. It beats the hell out of sitting in silence with yourself, doesn't it? Because here's the brutal truth. You create emergencies to avoid intimacy. Intimacy with your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own deep knowing about what your life has become. Chaos is loud enough to drown out the quiet voice that keeps asking, is this really how you want to spend your one precious life? You've convinced yourself you're so productive, so needed, so important with all your urgency. But really, you're just avoiding the most important appointment you'll ever have, the one with yourself. Because in the silence, in the peace, in the stillness, that's where you'd have to face who you really are, underneath all the doing. And peace feels dangerous because that's when the real you shows up asking, when do I get to matter? Sign number 5 is the most heartbreaking of all, and I need you to breathe through this one. You've made yourself the backup plan in your own life story, the understudy in the play that's supposed to be about you. Everyone else's needs come first, always. Their schedule dictates your day. Their emotions set your mood. Their approval determines your worth. Their dreams get the energy, the time, the attention. And you get whatever's left over, which is usually exhaustion and resentment. And you tell yourself such beautiful lies about this. I'm sacrificing for my family. I'm being selfless. I'm a good person. But here's the truth that's going to hurt. You're not postponing your life for others. You're using others as the perfect excuse to not have a life at all. Because having a life, a real life, means you'd have to decide what you want. You'd have to risk disappointing people. You'd have to face the terrifying possibility that maybe, just maybe, you matter too. And that feels impossible, doesn't it? You've committed the ultimate betrayal. You've made everyone else's humanity more acceptable than your own. You've decided that everyone else deserves love, attention, care, consideration, except the person you have to wake up with every single day. The person whose dreams you've put on hold indefinitely. The person whose heart you break every time you choose someone else's urgent over your own important. You've murdered your own soul and called it love. Now comes the medicine that tastes like poison, but heals like prayer. Because understanding why you do this to yourself, that's where the real work begins. Here's what happened. Somewhere, somehow, you learned that your authentic self wasn't safe. Maybe you were too loud and got shushed, too emotional and got dismissed, too much and got abandoned, too little and got ignored. The message was clear. Who you really are isn't welcome here. So you did what any brilliant child does to survive. You created a version of yourself that would be loved. The helpful one, the good one, the one who never makes waves, never needs too much, never disappoints anyone, And it worked, until it didn't. Because here's what nobody tells you about survival strategies. They have expiration dates. The false self that saved you at 7 is killing you at 37. You've become addicted to being good, because being real still feels like it might kill you. But now, not being real is what's actually killing you. And here's the truth that's going to set you free. That misery you feel, that constant dissatisfaction, that sense that something is deeply wrong, that's not depression. That's your soul staging an intervention. Your soul refusing to collaborate in your own destruction anymore. Every moment of emptiness is your authentic self, knocking on the door saying, "I'm still here. I've been waiting. I'm tired of watching you live someone else's life." Every moment of anger is your soul saying, "This isn't what we came here for." You have a choice now. Continue this slow suicide through self-abandonment, or risk the death of who you pretend to be. Because the person you really are, they're not dead. They're just buried. So what do you do with all this? Because awareness without action is just spiritual masturbation. This isn't about bubble baths and affirmations. This isn't about loving yourself more. It's about betraying yourself less. The real work? Stop doing the things that kill your soul daily. Start here. Think of one thing you do for others that you resent. Just one. Maybe it's that phone call you dread but always answer. Maybe it's that favor you always say yes to but hate doing. Maybe it's that role you play that exhausts you. Stop doing it. Today. Right now. Disappoint someone else rather than disappoint yourself. Again. Because here's the final truth that changes everything. Your real life is being held hostage by your need to be liked. The ransom they're demanding? Your authenticity. Stop paying it. Your real self has been waiting long enough. And they're not asking for permission anymore. They're asking for courage.